But, we just wanted to take just a quick look back at something, and that is, Chairman Lindsey Graham of the Senate Judiciary Committee, and we talked some about him before. I mean, that guy has really been a disappointment. I mean, he talks a good talk. He's one of the best talkers, frankly, on the Republican side of things. But if you just listen to what Lindsey Graham typically says, he's a very effective orator.
Morgan Streetman, we have a lot of those people on both sides.
I mean, don't we?
Yes.
I mean, it's like kind of reminiscent of, Trey Gowdy, although Congressman Gowdy, at least had hearings on things like Benghazi and appeared to try to do something. But it seems like a lot of these guys are just all talk, and I've seen a phrase that kind of works pretty well for what it seems like they're doing, and that is running out the clock. I mean, they give us a good talk, but then they have power. They do have some power. They could do some stuff, but they don't do anything. So they're all talk and no action. And Lindsey Graham is pretty much the same. He's already announced he's going to step down from his post as chairman of the Judiciary Committee, effective as of the end of the next presidential elections. That'd be January of 2021, when the next president actually comes into power, which I would assume, the way things are going for the Democrats, I would assume that's going to be President Trump again, unless they somehow are able to get him out through the impeachment process. But, we got a number of things we could talk about that Lindsey Graham has said recently. Again, he's a good talker. He says, look, if you don't reveal the identity of the whistleblower and if the whistleblower doesn't testify. And by the way, I think we should stop probably calling this person a whistleblower, because that's really doing the person a favor. The person's really a leaker.
Right, leaker.
And a spy.
Right.
I mean, that's what they were doing. They were in the administration as a spy, as part of John Brennan's Trump task force that we talked about last week, which we just found out about the fact that John Brennan had set up a task force within the CIA just to try to get President Trump. And he set it up during the Obama administration, so before Trump even came into office.
What about a leaker and a repeater of what they've been told to say?
I mean, it's just unbelievable. And we find out the guy worked with Adam Schiff ahead of time, so they coordinated their story. Maybe even he said, look, what do you need from me? Here's what I've got. Here's what we could use. How could you use this, Chairman Schiff? But let's flip back to Lindsey Graham, because he says he's got no power to do anything right now. But he actually does have a lot of power. He could hold some hearings. He could call some witnesses in before the Senate Judiciary Committee, just like the things that are going on in the House. Or
why doesn't he?
And why doesn't he, right? Because he talks a good talk, but he's come out and said he cannot do that. But that is not true. He's the chairman of the committee. And how come it is the Republicans who control the Senate aren't doing anything? They're not using any of their power to do anything. They could hold some hearings. They could call in, for instance, Hunter Biden and just ask Hunter Biden some questions about Burisma Holdings. And based on how Hunter Biden performed on the softball interview with Good Morning America, I'd say that might be a pretty good strategy to start to blow this thing apart because, I don't think he could stand up under that kind of scrutiny. I mean, he was having trouble with softball questions.
Maybe they need you as counsel.
Well, I think the point is there are plenty of people like me who can think like me, who are real people. Those people are not what they're looking for because those folks that are in Washington, D.C. are in it for themselves by and large. And that's pretty sad. And so Lindsey Graham is about protecting Lindsey Graham's power, Lindsey Graham's future. Lord knows what all kinds of relationships he's built with different groups and different people that he's more focused on than trying to do the right thing for the country and stop this impeachment nonsense that's going on in the House. And they could help to stop it by calling in some of these witnesses for live in-person questioning on television versus these secret proceedings that are going on in the House.
Are you saying they don't want to rock the boat?
I think they don't want to rock the boat. I think they don't particularly want to try to help President Trump. I think nobody in D.C., essentially nobody really likes President Trump. I think there's a few. I think Mark Meadows, Jim Jordan, I think a few others are legitimate supporters of President Trump. And you can kind of look at the vote on the resolution condemning his actions in Syria and see what Republicans voted for that to start to narrow down which ones are true supporters of the president. Because you see a lot of the Republicans voted I should say which ones voted against that, who voted on the side of the president in that resolution, because a lot of Republicans voted for that resolution. So that would start to help you narrow things down. But I guess I wouldn't even say I'm disappointed in Lindsey Graham, because I kind of already knew that about him from years past. But it's just sad. It's just sad that he got that chairmanship. I think if Chuck Grassley was still chairman of the Judiciary Committee, which he's supposed to take back over in January of 2021, if everything continues as planned from Lindsey Graham, then I think maybe he would at least be trying to do something, because, and by the way, I don't think Chuck Grassley was the most effective guy in the world, but at least he seemed to be fighting a little bit and trying to hold hearings on different issues. And for instance, he has written, letters to the Department of Justice asking about a lot of the issues that come up in the Strzok and Page text messages, including where they are referring to a person who they call Charlie, who is some kind of either confidential informant or counterintelligence plant within the Trump administration. And, of course, we wonder if Charlie isn't the whistleblower. And by the way, the name of the whistleblower has now been pretty well reported out there. One, it's been reported. I saw it on Fox News, the brave Molly Hemingway, who we always like to hear from Molly Hemingway because she's got some guts, She actually just spouted it off on the Howard Kurtz show, Media Blitz, on Fox News. She said that the alleged whistleblower was this guy named Eric Charamella. And, of course, that's where the nickname Charlie comes from, Charamella. So we think that's why he was being referred to as Charlie in the Strzok and Page text messages, which you can certainly go out there and find. But we also had Charamella's name put out there by Congressman Devin Nunes in a letter that he sent to Adam Schiff saying, hey, we've got a list of people that we want to testify. Because remember, Nancy Pelosi says they're going to be fair to the president in this whole situation. We're going to let the president call witnesses. We're going to let him cross-examine witnesses. This is going to be a fair process. And isn't that part of the way that our justice system works, is the idea that you get to confront the witnesses against you?
Well, let's ask Roxanne, because she has joined us.
Welcome, Roxanne.
I couldn't get out of the car, guys. I was listening to Morgan break it all down, and I'm like, this is compelling.
A half hour of you is better than no hour.
Thank you. Right. I had a little update. I had to go do some blood pressure stuff. It is true. I listened to classical music on the way there. I had the best blood pressure readings I've had in a while. Then I listened to Morgan on the way back. So no one take my blood pressure right now, because I'm fired up listening to all this.
I hope I didn't get you too fired up on this stuff.
Good stuff, but it's important. And I think it's just crazy that you have these other witnesses that would be defense witnesses, but they're not allowed to be called.
Yeah, shouldn't we? Isn't the idea that you give the defendant a pretty broad, scope, so that whatever might be brought forward as a defense, so we know that the trial is fair? So we know that you've had the opportunity, whatever your excuse or explanation or however you want to get to, at least in the criminal defense system, reasonable doubt, however you want to get there or try to get there, you're allowed to make that effort. And you can sort of put your best foot forward. And still, I'd say, and I should pull the statistics on that, but I bet you most people who are charged and tried wind up convicted. Most juries don't think that we get all dressed up and go down there just for the sake of convicting an innocent person. The state wouldn't be doing that, right? And so most folks come in, and even though we're supposed to have innocent until proven guilty, I think most folks come in on juries, and they would make the assumption that the state is bringing legitimate charges that possibly should be, result in a conviction.
Thank you for listening to the Morgan Streetman Show. We hope you enjoyed what you heard, and if you did, please click like and subscribe to help us out. And remember that we recommend that you exercise your brain at least once a week.